And so we can't shelter our way out of the crisis. It's important that we ensure we fund the full continuum.
Some homeless shelters will soon be closing in Multnomah County as commissioners prioritize long-term housing instead. Though some who work in the shelters say it shouldn't be one or the other, and closing shelters could mean more people on the streets. Money meant to address Multnomah County's homeless crisis has been a point of contention for years. This new 175-page report suggests different ways to spend it for better results.
Our goal is to make sure that people exit homelessness as a whole.
Between July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025, the county's Homelessness Services Department reviewed 31 24/7 shelters paid for by the county and city of Portland. The findings point to closing some shelters and using that money for housing programs instead. It's unclear how many shelters would close, but the report suggests more people would be housed that way without raising costs amid budget cuts.
It's really important that we don't just warehouse everybody in shelter, so we have to be sure that we have some dollars available to do housing placement out of shelter.
I don't think that that's necessarily the most beneficial way to utilize those funds.
Simone Sherwood works at county-run shelters. Here's where she hopes to see the money go.
Definitely anything mental health related, if there's any detox centers, treatment.
Resources are finite, and so there isn't enough money to do everything.
Alicia Hovanes runs Sunstone Way. That's the group operating this county shelter set to close in March.
We're good at housing people that are housing ready, but there's a growing number of folks that come into all of our shelters each day that need far more support than what we're able to give them.
The report found the average cost for a shelter bed in 2025 was $46,000. In that same year, the county spent just under $10 million to house nearly 600 people, roughly $16,000 per person. The question now, will closing shelters mean more people on the streets?
That's a very real concern I have. There could be a risk of you reduce shelter and you don't get an increase of people moving through. And if you don't get an increase of people moving through and you reduce shelter, the outcome will be more people on the street.
We need beds, we need placements. Outside of the very few shelters that we have, most of their options are to the street.
Okay, the report also found that last year, the total cost of the shelter system was $98 million. Just over 6,700 people stayed in the shelters, and a total 841 people were recorded to have moved out of shelter and into permanent housing. That's after they stayed in the shelter for 160 days on average. Now, as of now, we know of just 2 county-run shelters closing in March, and the money for those shelters will instead go to housing programs. It's unclear how many of the people staying in those shelters will end up on the streets. But the findings from this report, I'm told, will be used to inform budget decisions in the coming months. Okay, now it's your turn. Did anything from this report stand out to you? What are your thoughts on closing shelters and using that money for long-term housing instead? Let us know. Email the story at kgw.com or call and leave us a voicemail, 503-226-5090.